Project Perfect Timing, it's through our relationship, we learned a lot about each other, a lot about God, and both of us, we never had examples of how to do it right. We never knew how to have a healthy relationship. We never knew what we should do in a relationship. We never knew, we just went a lot off of feelings, and we feel like to establish something like Project Perfect Timing is an opportunity to have those talks, whether it's with a younger generation where it's kids who are 12, 13 years old and they're being peer pressured about sex and having sex at a young age. I mean, personally for me, though, I've been celibate for 5, 6 years, I lost my virginity at 12 or 13. And I didn't know. And honestly, if I was talked about it, I would have maybe waited a little bit longer, but no one told me anything. So I just thought, hey, well, the older people are doing this, why not me? So, and I was embarrassed my first time, but um, I think that this is a golden opportunity. And what really um, motivated us to do this is I had an experience with my little cousins. They were about 12, 14, 15, and I took them to this purity seminar where they talked about different things, whether it's the different STDs and transmit different type of diseases that can be transmitted. And at the end of it, they talked, they asked real questions, they answered real questions. They had people in the medical field come out, young people, and at the end of the seminar, they gave every child a ring. And this happened a couple years ago, and I see my cousin, and she was still wearing the ring, and it just was like, wow, so they do listen. And to be a 16-year-old girl in high school wearing a ring that says something like that was amazing. So I decided that I want to do that because, I mean, there's some churches that do it. And if sex is not talked about in church, it's going to be talked about on TV, HBO, BET. It's going to be talked on everything. So I'd rather give parents an opportunity to say, hey, birds and the bees, I don't want to have this conversation. Go to this event. And we're allowing it to happen organically.
Perfect timing. I mean, the name perfect timing to me is just like the way our relationship evolved because it was just pure timing. So how everything works out is just like according to God's plan and how His timing works. His time is not our time. We have to go according to what He wants. So we just went with the flow and let God operate, and it was just like perfect timing. Like every time we talk to each other, I'm like, dang, that's perfect timing, because everything is just like, wow, it's like perfect timing. So that's how I see it. Everything is when you're in God's will, everything does happen. Like, it looks like it's perfect.
The main thing is, first off, to have um, ideally a section or a group dedicated to educating the younger children in high school, teaching them about exactly what it is, as far as sex and the benefits of waiting until you're married, you know, about, peer pressure and not having to give in because you feel left out, but showing them that, granted, we're not perfect and we did mess up, but here's an alternative route. So that's one dimension of Project Perfect Timing. Another dimension is actually young adults like us who, we're attracted, we're grown, people. I own my own house. She was very successful in the health and beauty industry, but yet then we submit ourselves under authority and listen to our parents and say, okay. And her parents said, well, we would like you to be home at 12. And she was like, okay. And, to show that that's not stupid to honor your parents at that age, if you find that it's beneficial to you. So that's another aspect to show young adults, okay, this is what you can do. Taking cold showers if you're a guy is good. Sometimes it's needed. So that's Roxanne is actually at her church. She's the beauty advisor for young girls from the age of
8 to 16.
8 to 16, where she's talking about beauty. Well, her focus is beauty begins within, and she's gonna show them, how to value beauty. It's not what you put on your face; that makes you beautiful or what you put on your body. It's what you consume. Um, so that's demographic.
Yeah, it's just pretty much working from the inside out, making sure your heart is right, just getting a beautiful personality, getting your heart focused on God. And from there, once God is in control and your heart is after Him completely, then He has control of your life, and everything else is going to be smooth, smooth sailing. So
So
it's pretty much even at my job, at like where I model for a goddess boutique, and there we focus everything on God. It's just we want everybody to know that when you're stuck on God and you're after Him and you do everything according to His plan and you doing everything that He asks you to do, He will bless you. So it's like you just want to be right and showing women that it's like you don't have to sell yourself short for just attention or like self insecurities. I mean, a lot of young girls struggle with trying to fit in, so it's not really of trying to fit in. It's more of just looking at what God sees of you, and God made everybody perfect. So then again, perfect timing and how everybody's just created in God's eyes. We're the apple of His eyes.
So as far as the implementation of it, because of her influence and her role as a beauty advisor, she has access to the thoughts of young girls and be able to develop those relationships. I personally am getting more involved in the singles ministry, though I plan to propose sometime in the future. Um, it would be good to share how did I get to this point. So that's something that I'm going to be able to establish some dialogue with young men, young women, based off of my experiences and sharing that. But honestly, it's something that is happening organically. If you were to ask me, what 5 months ago, what this would be now, I wouldn't have known because it's happening organically. And I'm a big believer that when you find a problem and you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. And the fact that, like Gandhi, he said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And it's heartbreaking to see, um, some girls being taken advantage of and some kids actually being able to raise children, because they didn't know any better and just wanting to change that. I think as far as like the business aspect, that we're first going to start off creating influence within the communities, um, and and also as far as from a short term aspect, I don't think we would. Maybe we will. I'm not sure, but we have to because I'm already a part of a nonprofit, and typically with nonprofits, there's a lot of influence that's put in, and same thing with investors. But investors, you have a little bit more of a say of who gets to invest and what type of influence they decide or what direction they would want you to go in. But it's something that's happening. Ideally, what we decided to do in 2013 to develop more of an influence so people can start seeing us, of course, with the blog, to be able to create an influence, talk about topics, um, talk to young girls, and then either go to different ministries or even schools. Because though our art focus is Christian, we don't want to just reach a Christian
Right.
demographic. We want to reach the whole world. And we know that we respect other people and their beliefs, so by no means are we pushing anything on anybody. We're just saying what works for us. And if people are able to take some concepts from us, then that's great. We just want to not just put a band aid on it, situation, but to help it. So,
Show other people a different way of approaching relationships. Like,
right.
the young, like, the ages of like the teenagers, like starting at 8, like even younger than 8, people are calling each other boyfriends and girlfriends and they're kissing. And it's just like we want to show them that it's like that's not really what you're supposed to do. It's like you could wait. It's better if you just wait. So that's pretty much our goal is just, showing them like how we waited to kiss and how it helps us.
But as far as the, because I'm thinking as like what I have planned for Project Perfect Timing, I want to create a brand, and I want the brand to explode and to grow. So ideally, Project Perfect Timing is actually going to grow with the evolution of the wedding and the proposal and everything. So that way, it's almost like people are going along with our life and also having this. So it's simultaneously happening with everything that's happening in our lives. So as our lives together grow, we can actually we decide to continue to grow this because it's learning. Project Perfect Timing is something that we're learning. So as we go on, we're gonna have more structure to it. But now it's just organically developing. I think to answer your question, like from a biblical standpoint, it said, "He who wins souls is wise," and it's not you're wise because you decide to win a soul. It's you're wise because you're going to find a way to be able to devise a plan to win a soul. Because at the end of the day, we I feel like we're a spirit. We live in a body, and we obtain a soul. We have mind. We have intellect. We can think. But this body is something that we're all subject to. The environments, this world, we all experience it. And with that said, I feel like the approach that we will take is we're going to have to um, study the benefits, because I feel like there's benefits exactly what we just talked about, as far as you heighten your other senses. But that's something that we're gonna be able to study and learn, because I learned that there's parallel truths. Something that makes sense in the kingdom of God makes sense in nature, it makes sense in something else. So that's the cool thing there. And being able to not necessarily say that God, 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 but just focus on the other parallel truths and say, hey, well, listen, we did a study, and Harvard did a study, and they found that people who were waiting to have sex, their marriages lasted. We don't know, but there's studies out there because it's a parallel truth. To find the parallel truths, present the parallel truths, and say, hey, listen, this is why you should wait. Now, in the event that they say, well, why is it that you decided to wait? That's where I feel like the door is open to say, well, our faith is. To be honest, we may have to, because we have God so rooted in us, sometimes you have to bite your tongue and say, okay, I want to say God, but what's the way to be able to articulate that there's an answer out there without necessarily saying God? Because to be honest, when people hear Christian, they feel almost insulted because they're like, the mindset of a Christian, whether it's the Crusades where they would fight each other and kill each other, or whether it's pastors who are sleeping with women, or priests who are, people have this weird mindset of what Christianity is, and it messes it up for people who are just trying to live a right, pure life. So we don't want to go there and say, hey, listen, we have all the answers. Though we, in the bottom of our heart, feel like it, when you tell a person, hey, this is where you want to go, chances are people will be like, whatever, dude, and turn away. So I see it as being able to get involved in those circles. We have to earn the right. We have to earn the respect. We have to know who are already influential in those communities, talk to them. And there's a lot of powerful, successful people who happen to be Christian. They just don't tell everybody. They just live a lifestyle that walks. Because God is so big, and if He lives inside of us, a person is supposed to say, "There's something different about this person." There's something about this person that I want. If this is truly God, who literally one of His definition is God is love. If He's truly love, that's something that a person should be able to pick up without having to say, "This is my faith and this is what I believe." So that's just my
Quote
thoughts.
the whole Bible.
Quote the whole Bible. Everything starts with the seed. So though they may not know everything that they're doing, when they get older, once they know, they're like, well, I already did that, then I might as well do this. And that's tough because those parents, in many cases, they were raising children that they weren't even fit to raise. And they did the best that they can, and they didn't know how to protect their children. They didn't know how to teach their children what's right or wrong, or morally what you should or shouldn't do. But if they had help out there, someone to say, hey, listen, you know, if a person does this, do that, don't do this because of that. I mean, I don't feel like we have to keep saying God for God to be heard.
We truly do. Like, we've never had like a bad day. We're always happy. And it's like we see it for ourselves of like how like it's like when you do things the right way, it's like nothing ever goes wrong. It's like
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, not nothing ever goes wrong, but like
Right.
when we have like an unexpected date or something, it'll just like everything would just be so smooth. Everything would just go
Right.
accordingly. Like there would be nothing in the way to like mess anything up.
It's kind of like when life throws you lemons. Some of us choose to make lemonade. So
Everything
that's
just happens really smoothly.
smooth sailing.